Hi, I'm Dave Aaker, and I'm here to talk to you about some of the learnings that come out of my book, Aaker on Branding, second edition. And they all are addressing the whole concept of short-termism. And we're seeing a growth in short-termism, and it goes under some really compelling names like demand marketing, performance marketing, evidence-based marketing. So it's highly respectable. And there's nothing wrong with demand marketing, as long as it acts as a partner with brand marketing, and as long as it leverages the brand and enhances the brand in the things that it does, and as long as it does not do things that are off-brand and damaging the brand. So that's the risk, and so that's the risk I'm bringing forth today. Um, and so let me start with the first learning, and that is it's about short-termism in the 1980s. We've seen this movie before when short-termism just became a very dominant factor. It was driven by two strategic frameworks in those days. There was the BCG framework that that was interpreted, falsely interpreted, it turns out, but it was interpreted as saying that the key to strategy is to build market share. And so that's what people did. The other framework was based on scanner data, because when scanner data was introduced or kind of got traction in the mid 1980s, there was an effort to do marketing experiments where you could know the outcome the next day because you had scanner data. And what they learned was that price off promotions were about the only thing that really moved the needle. So there was a huge surge in price promotion in the mid 80s, dramatic difference from what it was 5 or 10 years earlier. And as a result of this, the brands got damaged. And there was no growth. Profits deteriorated. And so at the end of the 80s, executives were basically taking stock. This wasn't working. And so an alternative emerged, and that was brand equity, the fact that brand is an asset. So that was really well received by almost desperate strategists of the day that wanted an alternative to what they were experiencing. So brand equity took hold. It really fundamentally changed marketing. It Marketing was no longer a mid management function that involved communicating and building awareness and image. It was now strategic. It was now based on the fact that your marketing brings to the table customer insight, segmentation. It's now involved in new products, and so it needed to be in the executive suite. The second learning is uh, what I call the five Bs. It's a framework I developed for the book that wanted to emphasize that branding is more than awareness and image. It's something that that's an asset to be built and to leveraged and to be managed. And the five Bs reminds people of all the complexities and components of branding. The first B is brand relevance, and it has as a part of it brand awareness, but it's now more than brand awareness. It includes brand credibility because uh, it doesn't pay any dividends to gain visibility if you're not credible. So Hilton Hotels is a great name, very visible. Everybody knows it, but that doesn't give them permission to build hospitals and to run hospitals. It They would have to develop credibility in that area to be relevant, and so that's the first B. The second B is brand image, but we have to be careful to not think of brand image as only functional benefits. It's also emotional benefits, social benefits, and most importantly, self-expressive benefits. And then to manage an image now, we think in terms of brand pillars, 3 to 5 brand pillars that represent what you stand for and provide a guide to building the brand and to communicating the brand. And then there's brand loyalty, which is a most dramatic addition to the concept because when you then talk about loyalty, that's when you get marketing involved in all these other aspects because brand loyalty is impacted by the customer journey. It's impacted by new products. It's impacted by uh, uh, almost everything that the organization does. The fourth B is the brand portfolio. And that's to signify that it's not building a brand. Most people think you just build a brand, but that's never true. It's almost never true. You have to have a team of brands. You're going to need sub-brands. You need endorser brands. You need co-brands. You need branded energizers. You need branded differentiators. You need branded points of credibility. And all these will work to help you not only communicate the brand, but help you sort of understand what you need to do to deliver the brand's promise. And the fifth B is brand equity itself, which again provides an umbrella reminder that we're building an asset here. We're just not running ads and gaining leads. And and we're also the brand equity sort of reminds us that there's an umbrella over all these other 4 Bs, and they have to be coordinated and they have to be gain synergy. The third learning is that there are 15 ways brands provide value. And so when you're in the executive suite explaining why brand equity is so important, it needs to be protected, and we have to avoid being off brand in any way, um, you can mention some of these 15 ways. Just take brand awareness. Just being aware makes people familiar, and people like the familiar. Whether it's music, people, or movies, or whatever, they like the familiar. And just being aware implies market acceptance. I mean, there must be a reason you're aware. And so there's market accept, even success. It even applies success. It's got to be successful somewhere if I've heard of it. And brand credibility creates trust. And we all know how important trust is in this era in which trust is eroding all over the place. If you want to have people pay attention to your communication, you need trust. And brand image provides differentiation. And we know from research that differentiation is the number one predictor of new product success. It's a number one predictor also of profitability. If you're really differentiated so that you can command a premium price. And it reduces price pressure. If you have loyal customers, then you're not going to be engaged in price wars. So let me turn to the fourth learning, and that is that the brands are critical to disruptive innovation. Now, disruptive innovation is virtually the only way to grow. It's a strong statement, but if you look around, you almost never get a surge of growth without an underlying disruptive innovation. And what's true is disruptive innovation used to happen rarely, but now it's frequent, it matures faster, and with greater impact. So it's really kind of the lead ship. But what do I mean by disruptive innovation? I define it as an offering that includes one of two things: a superior buying or use experience, or a superior customer relationship, which could be like a shared interest in Patagonia has a personality, could be a feeling of competence. It could be shared values, like Dove Real Beauty program, but it can be something that has maybe nothing to do with the offering, but it creates a superior customer relationship, and people will tend to want that. It becomes a must-have. Now, branding, curiously enough, is overlooked by all these strategy books that talk about disruptive innovation. The Blue Ocean book, for example, has a half a page on branding, where they talk about first mover advantage, which itself is problematical. Um, so, so you really need branding. You first of all need a brand to become the exemplar of the category. It has to be the thought leader, the market leader, the innovator of the category, the one that's going to manage the category going forward. And then it has to position the category in the marketplace. It's a little bit like brand positioning, but different. But nevertheless, it's a branding job. And the brand has to take that on because if they don't position it right, and if they don't get the disruptive to win, then it's going to be all for naught. And then the final thing is they have to build barriers to competition. And of course, having a strong position and owning that position is one barrier. Having a strong customer base is another. If you scale the opportunity quickly, but you can also do ongoing innovation and to make the this disruptant a moving target, harder to hit. And you can brand the innovation like Uniqlo did with Heat Tech, the fabric that keeps you warm in the winter, or Airism, the fabric that keeps you cool in the summer. When you branded it, that means you own it. And people could go elsewhere for fabrics that work in the summer, but there's going to be only one Airism, and that's at Uniqlo. So there you have it, four learnings related to short-termism and your response to its possible risk in your organization. First, look at history. Look at the impact of short-termism in the 80s. How did that work out? Not so well. Second, consider the five B's as a way to explain what branding is all about in all its breadth and complexity and its potential for synergy. And third, the 15 ways that branding provides tangible value. I mean, people can really, I think, uh, understand that. It's very compelling. And finally, the whole concept of branding and disruptive innovation, the ultimate uh, the ultimate alternative to short-termism.